Hi everyone, welcome to Stackschool. This is the very first session, Intro to Full Stack Mobile Development. I am your presenter for today, and my name is Shiyu. So first thing first, here is the ACM membership portal code. If you're using the ACM membership portal, I encourage you to enter this code and earn some points because I know that ACM do give out a lot of prizes to people with the most points. So the code is PERN, and it's not just some random gibberish that I came up with. It has a meaning. If you don't know what it means yet, don't worry because we'll get back to it in a moment. And here are some useful links. On the left-hand side is the link to the slides, and on the right-hand side, this is the link to our Discord. So we will post some useful announcements, including our slides and recordings in our Discord server. So make sure that you join that. And these are also some useful links. Again, link to slides and link to the demo. Demo is the code that we will be writing during our workshop session. Cool. So here is our agenda for today. First, we're going to do a brief overview of Stackschool. Then we're going to talk about what is mobile dev and what are we going to do. Then we're going to dive a little bit more into the concept for full stack and the technologies that we'll be using. Finally, we're going to have a very short demo that help you guys set up the entire project. Good. So first, Stackschool overview. Here I have a complete curriculum for Stackschool. As you can see now, here we are at week 2, Intro to Full Stack Mobile Development. And next week, we have front end. And in the following weeks, we have more topics, including SQL, server, backend, user auth, external APIs. And one thing that I'd like to note is that on week 9, we have a project showcase. So how does this work? Is that so every workshop will be teaching some useful topics and concepts that will help you build your own mobile app. And after each workshop, there is a 1-hour work session where you can put what you just learned into action on your app. And hack officers will be around to help out. So we'll be wrapping this entire workshop series up on week 9 with a project showcase. This is the time that us hack officers will stop talking, stop teaching, and it will be you guys' chance to tell us about all the awesome stuff that you've created. So if you come to the project showcase and present your project, there is a huge chance for you to win some very awesome prizes. The prizes are those hella cute plushies. Personally, I like this one the most, but unfortunately, I won't be getting it because it will be given to one of our participants. Cool. So that was a really brief overview of Stackschool. So now let's just get straight into the content and talk about what is mobile development. So if you're like me, you may think that mobile development is just about building apps on your phone, but in fact, it's not just building phone applications anymore. Mobile development nowadays refers to app development for any mobile devices, and that includes phones, tablets, smartwatches, probably the new Vision Pro that Apple just released, anything like that. And in general, there are 3 types of mobile app: native mobile apps, mobile web apps, and cross-platform or hybrid mobile apps. So the focus of our workshop series will be native apps. Native apps are created for one specific platform or operating system, for example, iOS or Android. So they can be installed directly on the mobile device. If you're using an iPhone, you can just go to your app store and install those softwares or those apps. And if you're using Android, you'll probably go to some similar stores like Google Store or Google Play. I'm not 100% sure, but there is a built-in store for app installation. So previously, native apps can only be developed with platform-specific languages and tools. For iOS, you need to use Objective-C or Swift to develop the applications. And for Android, you need to use Java or Kotlin. We will talk more about this platform-specific language tools later because we won't be using any of them. Instead, we have a better solution, or A solution that can solve, like can be applied to both platforms. It's not necessarily better, but it's more suitable for our purposes. Cool. So I just talked about the overall layout for this workshop is that every session you'll be able to build up your very own mobile app. So we have also created an example for that. That is something we have built before this workshop when we're still developing the curriculum. And the thing that we built is an app that's very similar to BeReal. So first, what is BeReal? If you don't have BeReal installed, or maybe you don't have it installed, you have never had it installed, it is a phone sharing social media mobile app where you can post photos to show what you're doing in real time. And you can also react to your friends' posts. So this is the visual that I found from their official website. Basically, every day you will receive a notification that asks you to share your current action. And you have 2 minutes to capture a B-roll of what you're doing, which will be shared to your friend circle. And you'll be able to find out what your friends are up to right now, which is pretty cool, So instead of pre-roll, we built an app called Sounds Right, Time to Sounds Right. It has the following features. So first, it's a music social network mobile app where you can share the songs that you love, view songs your friends shared, and like a song that your friends shared. And finally, you'll be able to view your personal profile. So this is the screenshots of the app that we built. You can see it's pretty lit. You have a feed page that will demonstrate all the posts that every user has made. Unfortunately, Sounds Right currently only has one single user. That's why like every post is posted by me. We have a very cool Spotify embed. And also there is a profile page that has my profile picture, my username, my name, and all the past posts that I have made. So over here, I also have a post page, or it's not necessarily a page. It's basically a component where you can post new songs. And I have posted a song called Paranoid Love by Enhypen. So let's now actually take a look at the app itself. So before the start of this workshop, I have started this app. And as you can see right here, right now, I have the feed page. And if you scroll, you can find out I posted a ton of songs. And if you click on one of the songs, for example, You and Me by Jenny, play it. Not sure if you guys can hear it in the Zoom meeting. Not sure if it's recorded, but it just played a part, or like, yeah, it just played a part of the song, part of You and Me by Jenny. And if you click on like the icon, it will redirect you to a website that demonstrates information about the album. So let's get back to our own app. Back to our own app. And I can also like the post. I can like my own post. After I like it, the like count will increase by 1. So now it has 1 likes. I can like all of my posts. That is very cool. And I can also visit my personal profile page. So here I have my profile page, my name, my username, and all the past posts, all the past songs that I have posted. So scroll, you can basically see all the posts that shows up on the feed. Cool. We can also just make a new post right here, right now. Let me come up with some song that I'd like to post. Let me pull up my music app on my actual iPhone. Let's see. Okay, it's taking a while, but I think I'll just post some song by Blackpink. And I really like this song. It's called Kick It. Artist is Blackpink. So if I make that post right now, you can tell that, hey, I have that new post demonstrated on here with the timestamp. And same, if you click on it, it will play the song. If you like it, the like count will increase by 1. So that's a brand new post that I just made. Cool. So also there is a user authentication feature. If I exit the app or like log out right now, I'll be prompted to log in again. And if you don't have an account, you need to sign up. But I already have an account, so I'll just sign in. My username is Shiyu. My password is, well, guess what? You're not gonna know what my password is. You see, it worked and it logged me into my account. Yeah, so everything works. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, so that is a very basic overview of the app that you're gonna be able to build after this workshop series. So let's now exit the app and get back to our workshop content. Cool. So if you agree this idea could actually be something, please support us by Vemoing me or Jenna. Jenna is my other co-director. Yes, please. We need Vemoing. Nah, just kidding. All right. So that was an overview of what we're going to build. And let's now get into some real concepts about what is full stack. So let's revisit the features that our SoundFlight app has. It's a music social network mobile app. You can share the songs you love, you can view the songs, you can like the sound, you can view your personal profile, and all these features can be implemented with a full stack app. What is full stack? Full stack is when you work on all parts of the app, both front end and back end. That just does not seem to make a lot of sense because I have not defined what is front end and back end. So front end is the part of the app that users see and interact with directly. That includes the buttons that you click, the colors that you see, and the pictures on the screen, everything like that. So I have a GIF and also a graphic in the bottom part of my slide that basically shows what might be included in the front end. Button, colors, pictures, etc. On the other hand, backend is the behind-the-scenes part of an app. It manages data, performs computations, and interacts with databases. So one important difference between backend and frontend is that for backend, users don't usually directly see or interact with it. So here I have a graphic that is very popular, like 99% of the people when they introduce the difference between, or like when they introduce front end and back end, they will use this graphic. So as you can see, like this iceberg over here, the visible part is the front end, and it actually takes up only a small part of the entire app, whereas backend is something that you cannot see, it's below the water, below the surface, and yet it takes up more like important functions, important like features of your entire app. So a metaphor is that, let's say that app developing is like house building. So basically, if we want to develop a house, like the app will be the house. In that case, front end is the part of the house that people see from the street. That includes the outside, the paint, the garden, etc. Like this little cute house they can see right here, down here. And the back end will be the plumbing, the electricity, and all the systems that make the house work smoothly, but they cannot be seen from the outside. So here I have a graphic. I have no idea what this is about because it's all about, how a house is built, like including how the plumbing works, which I have no previous knowledge. But like it should be pretty obvious that just from the outside of the street, like just from the outside of the house, you cannot see all these. And yet they keep the house running. Cool. So how can we build the house of sounds right? Let's break down this billion-dollar idea by thinking about what do we need to have in our app. So I guess the most obvious one is that we have to have a visually attractive user interface that will include the home screen to show the feed, the user profile screen that displays the profile picture, past posts, etc., And we also need a way for a user to navigate between different screens. As you can see, I just during the demo of our app, I just click on the icon and it directs me to my profile page, and I click on another icon, it directs me back to my feed page. So that's navigation, and we'll need to build that. Aside from the user interface, we also need somewhere to store data. So we usually call that a database. The database will store our registered user info, which includes user's username, their past posts, and the friends they have, or probably some other information as well. We also need to store all our posts in the database, which include the song itself, the owner of the post, the timestamp of the post, etc. So is that it? Is that all? Do we only need user interface and database to make our app? Well, since I am asking in this way, we all know that the answer is, of course, no. We need something more. We want a middleman that goes to the database, finds the data we want, and carries them back for display. Because currently, there is zero communication between our user interface and our database. If you change anything on the interface, the database would not be able to know. If you change the database, the user interface would not be able to know. We need a middleman. That's what servers do. So when you click on a button, the request goes to the server. The server then processes this request, gets the necessary information, and sends back the response to the front end. So let's get back to our demo. When I post a song, the request goes to the server. So the server processes my request. It knows about what song I am posting. It knows about what time I am making this post. It also knows about my user information. It will store that piece of information into the database, and it will send back the response to the front end, so that after I click on the post button, the new post will be promptly displayed on my feed page. So that is a pretty comprehensive list of everything that we need to have in our app: user interface, database, and server. So a more complicated real-world app may have more aspects, but for a simple app like ours, these should be enough. So let's just apply what we have learned just now. And during the actual workshop, I asked people to divide all these 3 things that we need into the 2 categories, front-end and back-end. And someone volunteered to answer the question, and they got it right. Front-end includes the user interface, and backend includes the database and server. Because user interface is the thing that you can see, the buttons, the screens, whereas backend is the things that you cannot see. Obviously, I just showed you my app without showing how its database and server is like. So if a user, you will not have access to those. Cool. So following that, let's just introduce some technologies we'll be using to build our app. This is a list of all the technologies. Again, we're going to divide them into front-end and back-end. So for front-end, we have React Native, Expo. For back-end, we have PostgreSQL, Node.js, and Express.js. This is where the word kern comes from. You take the initial for each of these technologies, and you get the RN. This is the kern stack. Cool. So let's first discuss technologies we need to create the front end. The most important technology we need is React Native. It's a JavaScript framework for writing native mobile apps for both iOS and Android. So if you still remember, at the beginning of this workshop, I said that previously you could only use platform-specific languages and tools to write mobile applications for a specific platform. But for React Native, it works for both iOS and Android, which is something that we want. What React Native does is that it provides us with a collection of methods, functions, components, etc. that other people have created, and we can conveniently just use. There are a couple of reasons why we chose React Native. Well, the most important one, or like the most obvious one, is that it's widely used. It has a very large community and ecosystem. If you ever run into any problems or bugs, search it up. It is very likely that someone else on the internet has also run into that exact same problem and has probably solved it. So I have the market share for a lot of different like front end mobile development frameworks over here. As you can see, React Native has a market share of around 40%, which is very impressive. And here is a list, or it's not, it's a list of some of the most popular apps that were developed in React Native. You can find a lot of similar, like a lot of familiar logos in here, including Facebook, Instagram, Tesla, Discord. You can search it up if you're interested. And like the fact is, there are a lot of popular apps that were developed in React Native, so it's kind of a industry standard. Another important reason is that React Native is very similar to React. To recap, React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces, mainly for web apps. So if you're already comfortable with React, this will be a very easy transition for you to React Native. So one of the similarities is that both React and React Native write code in JSX. Another recap, JSX is a mixture of JavaScript and XML as markup language. So if you're not sure about like some of the things that I just mentioned, or you're not familiar with React in general and you would like to learn about it more, I would recommend going back to our previous Hack School workshop series. We have slides and recordings. Basically, we're taking 1 quarter to teach React, to teach how to build a website, how to build a personal website. So right here, I have the 2 pieces of code, one for React and one for React Native. And basically, they're building the same page. They're building a page with a single line of text called Hello World. And if you look carefully enough, you'll be able to tell that there are a lot of similarities between these 2 pieces of code. For example, you do the same import statement, you do the same export default function app, you have a highly similar return structure, autos tags, autos text. And on the right-hand side, if you look carefully enough, you'll find some familiar CSS statements down here. Again, if you're not familiar with any of these concepts that I just mentioned and you're interested in learning more about it, I would recommend going back to Hack School. Yeah. So that was the similarity between React and React Native. Another thing that we need to create a front end is called Expo. Expo is basically a set of tools and services built around React Native. It offers some pre-built modules and components, which might be very useful for your app. For example, I believe that Expo provides a modules that's related to controlling the camera on your phone. For example, maybe you can open your camera in your app, like take a photo and upload the photo. A lot of cool stuff. Again, another reason that we're using Expo is that it provides a simplified app development workflow. It's like a wrapper around our app that abstracts stuff away and makes our life easier. An example is that setting up a React Native project for the first time using other approaches can take you up to 4 hours, while setting up the same project using Expo will take about only 4 to 5 minutes, and we will see that in a second. It might take less than 4 to 5 minutes. So it's really useful, really convenient, like really beginner friendly. That's the reason why we're using this. So that was the technologies that we need for the front end. As for the back end, for database, we will be using something called PostgreSQL, which has this very cute elephant logo. What PostgreSQL is that it's an open source object relational database system that uses the SQL language. That just does not make sense. I know, I understand. That did not make any sense to me at all when I first read this. So what is object relational? Object relational is a type of database that combines elements of both relational databases and object relational databases. Well, that makes even less sense because we don't know anything about relational databases or object-oriented database. So we're going to cover more about these kind of concepts when we get to actually construct database in later workshop sessions. But here I'm just going to give a very quick overview, a very high-level idea of what these databases are. So first, for relational databases, in those databases, data is organized into tables with rows and columns, and tables are related to each other through common fields, and that's how the relationships are created between them. So when we talk about relational databases, we often talk about it's kind of the opposite, which is non-relational databases. We'll see what that is in a second. So right here, I have a visualization of a relational database. As you can see, I have two tables over here. One is obviously a list of persons. Every person has an ID, has a name, and an indicator of whether they are cool or not. And another table is likely to be a grocery list that has a bunch of items. Each item has their own name, quantity, and a personal ID. It is likely that whoever that person is, they need to get that grocery, like they need to actually buy that grocery. So these tables are related to each other through this common field called person ID. So that was the visualization of a relational database. As for non-relational database, it stores each record of data as a series of key value pairs, and you can visualize it using sticky notes instead of tables. For example, on the right-hand side over here, we have a couple of instances. We have a couple of data entries. Each of those data entries has a key of item, also a key of quantity and key of price. And as for the value, the item is lettuce, and the value of the key quantity is 20, and the value of the key price is 3. So again, this is a very high-level idea. Don't worry if you don't completely understand or still are not sure about what like relational, non-relational is about. We'll get back to these concepts later in our workshop series. So that was relational database. What is object-oriented database? So if you have taken CS probably 32 or 31, you will know that object-oriented is an idea that is frequently brought upon during CS 31 or 32. Basically, what it means that data is represented as objects, and objects can have attributes and methods. For example, over here, I have a couple of objects. This transport object has a couple of methods. One of them is get speed, another one is get fare. And over here, I have a bus object that has a attribute called road transport. So there are relationships between different kinds of objects, such as inheritance, and together they constitute a object-oriented database. Cool. So again, don't worry, we'll come back to these concepts later. Like, don't freak out, don't panic if you don't get it completely. Cool. So back to PostgreSQL, there are a couple of reasons why we use it. Number one is that it is the most popular database choice. If you click on this link over here, it will direct you to a post that I've read. So basically what it says is that among all the respondents to the survey, 71% has used Postgres last year and they intend to continue using it. And almost half of the respondents ranked it as their top 1 database, which is very remarkable, very impressive. PostgreSQL is kind of like the industry standard, so it will be something useful even when you get out of college and like actually start working. So it should be something that you want in your toolbox. There are a couple of reasons why it became the industry standard. That will include its scalability, flexibility, reliability, and so on. So scalability, it's designed to scale with growing businesses, which means that it can handle large data sets and complex queries with ease. And as for flexibility, PostgreSQL supports various data types, offers a lot of extensions and plugins that can be employed to enhance efficiency and also providing more features. So reliability basically means that the data you store is stable, is reliable, is secure. Of course, for most of these features, we won't be like taking advantage of them for our very simple little app. But again, in the industry, these are some very important traits that those app developers are looking for. So that's why PostgreSQL has become the most popular choice. So that was the database choice. We also need Node.js to write our server. So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. It's the platform that executes our JavaScript code outside of the browser. So previously, if I have a piece of JavaScript code and I want to run it, to execute it, the only thing that I could do is to open a browser like Chrome or Firefox and execute my code there, which is kind of inconvenient. But now that we have Node.js, we can just run our code outside of the browser. It provides a very convenient platform for us, for our app development. Another thing that we need for the backend is called Express.js. It's a backend library built on top of Node that provides a lot of useful features and tools. So that was a long list of technologies that we'll be using. Unfortunately or fortunately, we won't be using all of them for our demo today. Our demo today, the goal is just to get you guys started and set up for the project. So before that, we have several installations to do. Number one is text editor. If you have other text editors that you're familiar with, feel free to use it. But for our purposes, we'll be using Visual Studio Code. So if you click on this link, it will redirect you to the website. You could download VS Code. There's only one thing that you need to keep in mind. We want VS Code, not Visual Studio. So you should look for this blue icon here instead of a purple icon. In fact, you should just forget about what I just said. Just look for this blue icon. Cool. So another thing that we need is Node.js. So if you click on this link, again, it will redirect you to the website where you can download Node.js. One thing to keep in mind is that please download LTS version, not current version. I know that current sounds tempting, inviting, but it might break some of the code that we use or some of the features that we want. So for Windows users, you need to check add node to pass and install Chocolatey, or it might cause some problems in the future. Great. So now that we're done with all the installations, we are ready to start the project. So to do that, there are a couple of steps that you need to follow. Number one is to create a folder. Number two is to open the folder in VS Code. Number three is to start a new terminal. And number four is to run some commands. So let's actually do that right now. So here is my desktop. I'll just right click and create a new folder. I will name the folder to be called demo. All right, so now we have created a folder. The next step is to open the folder in VS Code. So to do that, let me get back to my desktop. Let me open my VS Code. And here under start, I have open. I'll get back to the desktop and find the demo folder that I just created and hit on open. And voila, you can see here I have successfully opened the demo folder. And that was our step 2. The next step is to open a new terminal. To do that, go to the terminal here and click on new terminal. So here I have a new terminal opened up for me. So I am ready to run this command. So you could just, copy paste copy this like command from the slides and paste it into your terminal, which is exactly what I am going to do. I'll just copy the thing called npx create expo app from it. Oops. Where's my code? All right, let me just paste and click on enter. It will create some template code, template files for our app. It might take a while. Actually, it might take a long time depending on your network connection, but we'll just patiently wait for it to complete installing or complete like setting up for the app. So yeah, it says here that your project is ready. So that is very great. Very great. Sorry, I forgot to zoom in. I hope you were able to see everything I just did clearly. Yeah, so I have run this command. The next thing that I'm going to do is, of course, run more commands. Next command I'm going to run is called cd front end. So right now I am in the folder called demo. By doing cd front end, I will change my directory into the front end folder that's the previous command created for us. So cd stands for change directory. I click on it, and you can see that my current directory changed from demo to front end. Cool. So after I've run cd front end, there's one last command I need to run. That is npx expo start. Run it, npx expo start. Enter. Cool. So yeah, I now have the app running. And ideally, you'll be seeing something like this, a huge QR code in the beginning, followed by some, keyboard strokes and instructions after that. So now, if you're a Mac user, you can press I to start the iOS simulator. And if it does not work, it might mean that you need to install it in Xcode. So for me, if I just click on I, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. It's outdated. Would you like to upgrade? Yes. Okay, it's taking a while. Wait. Cool. Installing. All right. You can see that my app has been downloaded and installed, and it's currently trying to open. Oh, voila. You can see that my app is live on my simulator. So it displays nothing other than a single line of text saying open up app.js to start working on your app. This is the desired effect that we want. And if it does not work, it might mean that you need to install something in Xcode. To do that, you'll go to Xcode, press on Xcode, go to settings, and then inside settings, go to platforms, and make sure that you have installed the iOS development kit. So it should not display as something you can click on and says get. If it says get, it means that you have not installed it. Instead, it should say something like, it takes up so much space on the disk. It means that you have installed it in that case. So I could also pull up my Xcode right now. It might take a while because I have not had it put up. Okay, it's taking a while. And yeah. Okay. Cool. I have my Xcode over here. Please. I haven't started Xcode in a while. That's why it's not very happy with me. Okay, cool. So I have it started. And if I go to Xcode, click on settings, I have this settings and go to platforms, you can see that I have the iOS development kit installed. It says 7.3 gigabytes on my disk. So that's if like you don't have that blah 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 on your disk, maybe you need to install it. Cool. So that was for Mac users. For Windows users, you might need to download something called the Android Studio Emulator. I have the link for download over here. And once you have downloaded it, you can follow this tutorial over here. I have linked the tutorial. So basically what it looks like is that it will help you set up Android Studio tools. I have not gone over this tutorial because I'm on a Mac, but I looked at this tutorial, seems pretty straightforward to me. And of course, you can always, come to the hack officers and ask for their help if you're running into any troubles. So just one final note is that right here we have our app running, but we're not going to do anything with it until next session. So now I want to stop this app because obviously I'm closing up this I'm closing up this workshop session. I need a break. So I'm going to stop this app. To do that, I'll press Control-C. So as soon as I click on Control-C, you'll see that it says something like stop the server, and it indeed stopped the app for us. You see it's now disconnected. Cool. So that was everything for our workshop. Thanks for coming. And next week, we're going to cover everything about front end. So see you there.